All right, today Natalie and I hit hammies and glutes. We're starting off with the leg press here. This obviously isn't the first set, but it is one of the working sets, doing about 15 reps and really just pushing through the heels. That's why you see my feet a little bit higher up and closer together, targeting those hamstrings as much as possible and taking the quads out of the motion. All right, and here's Natalie hitting the leg press. Same foot placement for her. She's going to keep her feet up nice and high, pushing through the heels, really targeting the hamstrings and glutes here, keeping the quads out of the movement, working on developing more definition in the lower half. We're actually supersetting these with the high stance leg press. You see here my feet are a little bit wider, and I'm targeting a little bit more of the outer part of my hamstring as I push my glutes back and then squeeze back together as I come up, really getting a full contraction from my hamstring to glute as I do this movement. And here's Natalie doing the same movement. You see here her feet are a little bit closer together than mine were, and also they're going to be parallel. The reason being is she's focusing on a different area of her hamstring as she does these, still doing the same movement, pushing her glutes back and then squeezing as she comes back forward, focusing on the full contraction. But again, target areas are a little bit different for each of us. And here we have the seated leg curl. You see I turn my toes out before starting this motion. Again, just specific areas I'm looking towards targeting and different variations of doing this. Since I don't typically turn my toes out on this machine, I figured I would do that today. Again, this weight is meant to be controlled. Peak contraction is definitely at the bottom, and controlling the weight back up is important. And so Natalie's doing the same motion with her toes out. You see here she's got her hands on her thighs, and she's really just getting a good feel for the mind-muscle connection by doing that, allowing her hands to actually feel those muscles contract as well as those muscles contracting by carrying the weight, making sure she's controlling the weight on the way back up and getting a good peak contraction at the bottom. So we also supersetted these abductors with those seated hamstring curls, just giving our hamstrings a break. In the meantime, keeping those glutes activated here. You see I do about 10 seated forward and 10 seated back. The reason being I'm just targeting a little bit smaller areas with the different angles there. And so as Natalie does these, you'll see that she's sitting a little bit more forward on the seat, and that's just because this machine specifically doesn't have any variations for height, so we make do with what we can. But you'll see here she's still doing the 10 forward and 10 back, targeting those smaller areas of that outer hip and that glute. Next, we went downstairs and we did some straight leg deadlifts here. We put our heels up on some 5-pound plates just to get a little bit more activation out of those hamstrings as we reach the bottom. Here, I'm really focusing on squeezing my glutes the entire way up. That's why you don't see me going all the way up to the top, because I'm getting the full activation. And once I get that complete squeeze, I go right back down, keeping those muscles still firing. Alright, and so as Natalie does this, you'll see that her toes are slightly angled out. This is just her preference as she's working on targeting specific areas in those hamstrings. She does typically do these with her toes neutral, so quick variation for today. And you'll see she's keeping her back very straight as she reaches down, making sure not to round or arch, and keeping full contraction and tension on those hamstrings and glutes as she reaches for the bottom. And after those straight leg deadlifts, we got these single leg lying hamstring curls. Normally I do these double leg just because we do have a single leg machine, so it's a good variation. Again, keeping my heels straight, my toes straight down, because I've had my toes out in most of these other movements. I'm focusing on, again, just specific target areas as we work through these motions. Alright, and so I believe this was Natalie's last exercise before she had to go. But you see she's able to keep one fluid motion through this movement, really getting full contraction at the top of this, and controlling that weight back down. She does a really good job of keeping her hips down on the bench and not allowing any other muscles to activate while she does this. Again, nice, slow, controlled, making sure she's able to feel the burn of these, because I promise they are burners. Right, and this has become one of my favorite glute workouts, doing it a little different variation than I normally do today, but still same concept, dumbbell down in front of me, keeping my chest upright and just contracting the glutes. You see my feet are angled out, my legs are a little bit wider than shoulder width, and keeping full tension and contraction as I go through this motion. At the bottom, it's a big stretch, and as you get to the top, you see I'm not going all the way up. The reason being is I'm fully contracted once you see me get to the top there. All right, and after that last one, if your glutes can handle it, find yourself a box, find yourself a bench, step up on something, and here you're gonna reach over. The reason being is I'm taking all the quad out of this and just keeping hamstring glute activation. See, I'm reaching there, just kind of getting a good mind-muscle connection. It does look kind of funky, but hey, we're here for the games, right? So it was a hamstring and glute day, but I'm really working on growing these quads as well, so I figured I'd throw a burnout set in at the end. Did about 100 on each leg, really lightweight, working on getting a full contraction. You can't quite tell here, but I'm sitting all the way back on this machine. I've got the seat further back than it should really even be, or for anyone that I think should be sitting on it. But the reason being is because it's allowing a very large angle from my chest to my knee, which is allowing my hip flexor and some other muscles higher up in the quad to also activate, giving that 3D shape as well.